Okay, everybody loves a new lesson on Friday, so I'm going to show you assembly constraints today. We're going to use a different file type called an assembly file. We're going to look at number one. We created this as a part, but now we're going to put it together as little individual pieces, and then you can kind of look and see what you think is going to be easier or an easier approach to do this. We're actually going to do assembly files for a couple of big projects before we do our woodshop project. And one of them is actually designing the woodshop project and putting it together in an assembly drawing. So looking at number one, hopefully you remember doing this. We have 3 cubes down here in the middle. We have a cube with a hole on it at the top. We have a cylinder. And we have a triangle over here. Alright, so in Autodesk Inventor, I've already created these small parts. I shared this with you in an email earlier. I have my cylinder, I have my cube, I have my half cylinder, I have my cube with a hole in it, and I have my triangle. So I'm going to go to a new file, and I'm going to do a standard IAM. This is an assembly file right there. It says assembly. We're used to doing parts. Assembly is where we put multiple parts together. So I'm going to click on standard IAM, and I'm going to click on create. Now what you'll notice is things look different up here. We're going to use place component. I'm going to click on place, and I'm going to look for my first part, which is going to be the cube. So I got a lot of parts in there. It's good to look in the preview window if you have one. I'm going to need 3 of these. So I'm going to go open. There's 1 cube. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. There's 2 cubes. There's 3 cubes. Now it acts like it's going to add a 4th cube. Just hit the escape key so I don't accidentally place an extra cube. So I also need a cylinder, a triangle, and a cube with a hole in it. Let's get those while we're at it. I'm going to go place, and let's look for cube with hole. There's my preview window. I know that's the right thing. Open that. That's going to be up there. I'm going to hit escape. Back to place. And the next one, let's do the cylinder. This one's going to be the trickiest one to use an assembly constraint on, but we'll get through it. And the last piece we need for this is the triangle. Way down here, alphabetical. There it is. Okay, so I better hit escape. We're going to go up here to this command called constrain. And there's different types of constraints. We'll use a basic one called a mate. When we go to use the cylinder, we'll use tangent. Tangent means intersects but does not cross. We got 2 different types of solutions we'll look at. One's called mate. Like up there at type. The other one is called flush. I always say mate is like a magnet and flush lines things up. Usually I'll start with a mate and then I'll add a flush. So I'm going to start with mate, and what I do is I click on one surface, and then I need to stick it to the joining surface. So I grab my view cube and it's going to go to this one right here. Makes a cute little noise when I do that. So they are now mated together. I'm going to apply that. I'm going to go to flush. I'm going to flush these 2. That lines them up. And I need to do one more flush with the top edges. Apply. Now you can check those if I close that by grabbing them and moving around and seeing if they stay together. And if they do, you're okay. I'm going to go back to constrain. Pick one surface. I'm going to pick the other surface that joins it. Apply those. Switch over to flush. Those look good. And might as well do the top. Okay. So we're okay so far. Let's do the cube with a hole in it. It's going to set in the middle. When we flush this, we might need to set an offset, so we'll learn about that too. First, let's stick them together with mate. We'll go to the bottom and the top. We'll apply that. We'll flush. Those are okay. Now, to get it in the right spot, we're going to have to use an offset. So far, my offset's been at 0, so I haven't really talked about it. But now we're going to have to give it a numerical value. I'm going to flush these. My offset needs to be an inch, because those cubes are an inch, and I want it to set in the middle. So I typed 1, and it lines up. If it went the wrong way, I could type a -1, but right now, we're okay. So that's good. And we can check all this by closing our constraint and seeing everything moves the way it needs to. All right. This triangle, we need to line it up a little bit better. It does not go on this way. It has to be off to the side a little bit. If I'm exited out of everything, and I go over here and I right-click, I can select free rotate. I do have to be exited out of everything. I can't have my constraint window open. And I'm just going to get it close, but not right on. Now I'll go to constraint. I'll use my mate solution. And I'll join those together. Okay, see, they don't line up at all. But they actually, this plane here is lined up. So I'll go ahead and apply that. And then I'll use flush. That looks good. I'll apply that. Then I'll go ahead and I'll flush the bottom. Alright, we're in good shape so far. So now I have to get that cylinder in place. And this might be the tricky one. It might be a little bit of a trial and error. Just a note on that. If you ever use a command and it doesn't work out for you, if you ever use a command and it doesn't work out for you, it's a good idea to hit this back arrow up here. Otherwise, you start getting buried in commands and then things will not work out the way you want them to. Another way that you can edit that is over here in your model browser. It's open up on the left. This gives a history of your drawing. Okay, I'm exited out of everything right now, which is good because I want to right-click on this object and I want to free rotate it, just to get it lined up a little bit better. Okay, I like that. I'm going to hit escape so I'm not stuck on that too much. Let's go to constrain. And let's try tangent. And tangent means it intersects but does not cross. Let's use outside. Let's select the cylinder. And let's select the edge of our cube. Hey, that looks pretty good. I'm going to apply that. And then let's do, go back to regular mate and a flush. Let's flush this top and bottom. Apply. Now let's see how things look. I'm going to try one more tangent because I don't think that circle's quite right on. So I'm going to go back to tangent. Outside. I'm going to do the cylinder and the back of the cube. I'm going to cancel that. I don't like that at all. Oh, let's look at that again. Maybe there's something we can do there. Let's go constrain, tangent. Okay, I see what's happening there. Let's do an offset. Let's try 1. Goes the wrong way. Let's try -1. Hey, that looks pretty alright. Let's apply that. So our project looks pretty good. I'm going to close this constraint window. I'm going to come over here and grab this thing, try and move it around. Swing my view cube around. Maybe even grab my cylinder and see if it stays in place. Hey, I think I pulled this one off. So there's an example of using assembly constraints. Hopefully this will go well for you. Good luck.